Hello, everybody. I'm going to talk about time when I was around 10 years old at my grandparents' house. Uh, some creepy things have gone on in the house uh, since around 10, probably before. I've told the story before, but I'm going to go into more detail, try to describe what I saw more, go into more detail about their house. Maybe so people can understand clearly, or more clearly, what I'm talking about. So, my grandparents lived, they're not alive anymore, but they lived in a town called White Pines in Northern California. They had built their house in like 1950 um, in their area there. My grandfather, he worked for, well, he worked for several jobs, but he used to work down at the lake logging. At the time, it wasn't a lake, it was a spillway, and they'd follow the tree down the spillway to float it down to collect it on the trucks. Spillway eventually turned into a lake, and then they got White Pines Lake. But anyways, my grandparents lived, and they had a subdivision of where they cleared trees. There's trees behind the house, and down below the house, there's quite a bit of woods. But they had cleared it for most of the houses. So my grandparents had, there's a road that went up the hill. It's a fairly steep hill. And then there's a next door neighbor, and then there's a neighbor down below, like a street that went crosswise and up. And they had neighbors there, and then neighbors on the other side. And then there's houses down below. And my great grandmother used to live, if you walk down the street and go to your left, she would live about a couple houses down from my grandparents, not very far, within walking distance. But anyways, my grandparents, they had, it was like an outside cement patio they made, and then they had a garage that they built, and then the back steps went up to a porch, little porch walkway, and then out into there's a laundry room, and then it opened to the kitchen. There's a door there, and then there's a door that led to, there's upstairs, and the stairs were on the right. There's a bedroom on the left. And you walk down the hallway, there's a bathroom, and my grandparents' room, and there's the dining room, or living room, and then a dining room next to that. So anyways, kind of give you a layout. There's an upstairs, and there's like, you walk up, it's probably about 8 stairs, open the door, and then there's a bathroom there, there's a bedroom, and there's a L-shaped hallway. It's like a upside down L-shaped hallway. You kind of go a little bit to your right, and then it turns back, and then there's a bedroom back, and then there's some cabinets and stuff. And they had like the roof was slanted, so they did, instead of back then they did the design of the roof, so it's kind of like a very slanted, like it went up the wall and it came back down, like a very kind of like a roof shape. You know what you think of a roof. Now they can do away with it. They can build the normal ceiling, but back then the way they built it, they built themselves, so they did it like a L. That wasn't an L shape, kind of like a triangle shape, I guess you could say. It was very like I can barely stand up now to get past it, being 5'6". So it was very short hallways. But anyways, it was probably around when we were 10. We were staying upstairs. There was a canopy bed, and there was a trundle bed. I slept in a trundle bed and shared a room with my sister. And my parents were staying in the other bedroom, and my grandparents stayed downstairs, and then there was a playroom. And so we were sleeping in the hallway. Well, we weren't sleeping in the hallway, we were sleeping in the bedroom. But in the hallway, there was, I could hear somebody walking. Now, I figured it was my grandmother, because when you walk up the steps, you can hear it's like a really creaky, they're old, old house. So the stairs, every time you walked, it would creak. And now in the house there has been experiences with the upstairs toilet flushing. Lights would flick on and off. I mean, we dealt with it. We didn't really think anything at the time, because we lived at the house off and on. Not lived there, but stayed there, lived there, because our grandparents' house. And so we'd been there before, so it wasn't really scary. It was kind of things you thought, well, that's weird. And the toilet would flush. I'm like, oh well, my grandfather just kind of said the flange dropped, so it would flush. But come to find out, looking, it's not really possible. I mean, it'd flush, but not actually flush by itself, a full cycle, and the lights going off and on and all that. So, anyways, one night we were sleeping in the house, and like I said, I heard footsteps, and I heard the toilet flush, and I figured, well, it was kind of weird because my grandmother needs to come and use the toilet, but I figured maybe my grandfather was in there or something, so she was using it. And like I was getting up to go to the bathroom, and I was walking, and I was really groggy and wasn't really paying attention. And I looked up, and I saw this big old black shadow figure, probably about 6 foot tall, just standing there. And I remember I just froze, and I don't remember the eyes or anything, but I just remember I could see it standing there staring at me. I froze, and I ran back to the bedroom and hopped back in the bed, and I hid under the covers. And my sister woke up, started kind of laughing and saying, "Well, what's wrong? Why are you so scared? What's going on?" I said, "There's a shadow person in the hallway." She kind of laughed and said, "There's no shadow person in the hallway." So she got up and started walking to the bathroom. She comes running back, and she jumps in the bed and hid. And we were talking about it later, and she told me about how the shadow person had come in the bedroom. I hadn't remembered it, but I thought about it, and I remember it came in and was just sitting there staring at us like this thing. It was very, like, you could feel I guess you could say the evil in it, or just very uncomfortable feeling. Like, it was just freaky. I remember just feeling it, even though I had my head under the covers. I remember I could feel it watching us, just kind of sitting there, and it was just like it didn't want to go away. It wanted to do harm, I think, to us, but it didn't. For some reason it didn't, but it was just, you could feel the evil in it, and it was just. I stayed there several times. I've stayed downstairs bedroom, heard footsteps and stuff, tapping at the window. I've stayed upstairs and heard tapping outside the window. The second floor is pretty tall because their house. In the very front, it drops off, and then so it's probably from the window to the ground, probably at least 12 feet. So there's no way somebody could tap on the outside window. And we've had weird things. Well, I went back there for my grandparents' funeral. It was beginning of this year. My grandmother had passed away, and my grandfather passed away several years before. And we went there. We didn't stay there because my parents had stayed there earlier when my grandmother was passing away. And they were saying that lights were going off and on, the toilet flushed upstairs, they're hearing footsteps, and my sister was telling me she felt like upstairs, like something was watching her. She felt heat. She said like some creature was like very hot heat, like scalding heat. Something was burning her, and she saw like something in the air, and then she felt like they saw a shadow. They saw like a spider. They said it looked like a spider, a black shadow spider, and then they felt cobwebs on their face, and then it's like they felt something come out of the closet with a black shadow. And and like I went up there for my grandmother's funeral because it was a little bit later. They waited a little while because I guess people wait now. But anyways, they didn't do her funeral right away, so we went back probably about 2 months later. And I was walking upstairs, and I felt like cobwebs on my body and stuff. There's no spiders, couldn't see any cobwebs, and then like it just felt weird, like somebody was watching us. And then my sister went downstairs again, and I heard like a growl, like a kind of sounded like mechanical growl, but I knew there was nothing upstairs because they don't have anything upstairs. That they have old. My grandmother had old, and my uncles and aunt, their toys and stuff like that, and books, and nothing that would be mechanical, nothing that you would know. And it sounded like a growl, almost like a mountain lion or something, but more mechanical. It's hard to explain, but it was a growl, a different growl. And I couldn't see anything, but I just felt this weird presence, and that's when I went back downstairs. And I haven't been in the house for a while since my grandparents are gone, and the house was just kind of sitting there. But there's a lot of weird things that I used to joke about my grandfather's or my great grandfather's ghost. Was supposedly flushing the toilet and all that. But yeah, there's a lot of weird. I mean, I don't know why. I mean, the house is just maybe where they built it. I don't know. I don't think there was ever. No, as far as we know, there's no cemetery, no like Indian burial ground or anything like that. But it was just we experienced a lot of strange things. Like I remember seeing like one time I saw it was weird. But I remember sitting in the living room and we were talking. I saw a little green man. I know people think I'm crazy, but it popped up, looked at me, and disappeared. I mean, I'm sure it was something evil, but it was just like a little green. I mean, I just tripped and I rubbed my eyes, and it was just. And I've seen a lot of, just a lot of weird things in the house. I think some evils in that house because we just had a lot of experiences, just strange things going on at night, and just like I said, toilet did flush. You'd hear footsteps, something walk down the stairs. Saw shadow people, like shadow, not just people. There's like shadow, you see animals or whatever, beings. It was just a very creepy house. I thought about buying it, but I didn't want to deal with the shadow people and all that. Because it was a family heirloom or a family house. They built it, but I was just too afraid to stay there because it was just too many weird, very scary memories. And I hope you enjoy my story. I tried to go in a little bit more detail. Because there was shadow people, and then there's like shadow, like they said they saw shadow spiders and things in the closet, and just all kinds of different. I think there's several, whatever it was, demons or ghosts or whatever you call it, that were in the house because there were different things we saw. And it was very, just felt you watching them, and you just felt like watched and like a sulfur smell, like just weird things. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.